Om Shanti. Happy Navratri. So, Navratri means 9 nights where goddess Durga Devi fights with a demon king Mahishasur and conquers over him on the 10th day, which is celebrated as Vijayadashami or Dashara. So, why did Durga Ma fought with um, Mahishasur? Because he was causing huge trouble for Devas. Okay, so she fought with him and killed him. But how does it benefit us that we celebrate those 9 days in memory of that war every year? Because I don't think we will be celebrating anything without us getting benefit from that. But this particular story as such has nothing to do with us. But still we celebrate Navratri for 9 nights in various states with various religious practices. The main practices include fasting for 9 days and praising Durga Ma for 9 days and dancing and staying awake in the night for 9 days. So in this 9 days celebration, we celebrate 3 days for Durga Devi and another 3 days for Saraswati and another 3 days for Lakshmi. So that is called Durga Puja, Saraswati Puja and Lakshmi Puja. All religious festivals are based on religious scriptures. But all those religious scriptures, they do not represent a historic event. Instead, it just predicts what is to happen in the future. So all those wars between devas and demon kings did not happen in the past. Instead, it will happen towards the end of Kali Yuga, not externally, within one's mind. So in order to understand that, you need to understand the difference between devas and demons, asuras. Devas or deities, they were filled with divine qualities, while as asuras, they are filled with the devilish qualities. Now ask for yourself, what qualities do we possess predominantly? In case you do not know what devilish qualities are, it is nothing but lust, greed, anger, attachment and ego. Every single thought of ours is either based on lust or greed or attachment or ego or jealousy. So most of the thoughts we create are based on lust. And most of the demon kings represented in religious scriptures, they were famous for lustful behaviors. You see Ravan kidnapping Sita because he loves her. So you need not have even the slightest doubt whether you are that asura. Of course, we are asuras. We are those demon kings. So do you expect God or Durga Devi to kill us? That is not possible. That is unimaginable because we worship them. We expect them to help us, not to kill us. If they kill us, they cannot be God, right? Then how can someone who kills Naragasur, Ravan or Mahishasur be worshipped as God? So what actually happens is well represented by the Navratri celebration in South India. So in South India, they have this habit of having a step. It consists of 3 to 9 steps, where they will have the highest deity like God Shiva or Lakshmi Narayan or Ram Sita. They will have their statues in the top row. Below that, they will have someone somewhat inferior to those in the highest rows. So below that, they will have other deities who is somewhat inferior to these two categories. Then below that, they will have sacred persons like Shankaracharya, Ramanuja, like that, Sri Raghavendra, Shirdi Sai Baba, like that. And below that, they will have some more sages who is somewhat inferior to them. And below that, they will have the statues of devotees. Below that, they will have statues of animals. So though people explains this like we were created as an inferior animal or something like that, then after taking several rebirths we just progress spiritually, then we advance gradually, then finally after getting some nice gurus that we reach the, actually it should be asuras at the lowest step and devas in the highest step, because we never take birth as animals or plants. We were always human beings. The only difference is when we were asuras, we are filled with devilish qualities. When we were deities, we are filled with divine qualities. Yes, in the beginning, God created this world as heaven and created us as perfect beings called deities or devas. It is only after taking several rebirths our stage gradually decreases because our soul loses power gradually, and finally we become filled with devilish qualities to be called as asuras. So these steps actually represent the stage of the soul. Our stage decreases, and for us to descend from devas to asuras, it takes 5,000 years, and it happens naturally. So just like a battery loses its power over the period of time, our soul, which shines like a tiny star in between the eyebrows, also loses its power gradually over the period of 5,000 years. After losing its power, it can't differentiate between the right and wrong, which is why we start committing more and more sinful acts, because of which we are also punished by various diseases and natural calamities and so on. So to lift us up from this most degraded devilish state, God comes at the end of 5,000 years, and he reveals this secret, and also he reveals another secret that is essential for us to climb this ladder to reach this deity stage. So though it takes 5,000 years for us to descend from deity to devil, it takes just one birth, matter of few years, for us to ascend to the deity stage again. So it happens in the last birth. So once you ascend back to the deity stage, again after 5,000 years we will be descending to the devilish stage. So it is a cycle. It takes 5,000 years to descend and just one birth to ascend. So you can easily understand it by this picture. This is the 5,000 year time cycle. In the beginning we were deities. After taking several rebirths for first 2,500 years, we continued to be deities. But after 2,500 years, we become devilish beings, because we started acquiring devilish characters like lust, anger, greed, attachment and ego. So in the end we become so devilish that we start hurting each other constantly. So towards the end of Kali Yuga, God himself comes. God Shiva comes from his supreme abode called Parandam or Paralok. He enters an old man's body and gives this teaching and reveals the truth that the world continued to be heaven for the first 2500 years because you were free from all vices. That was possible because you were soul conscious. You considered yourselves to be souls. So after 2500 years, you started becoming body conscious. While you were soul conscious, you had no lust, no anger, no greed, no attachment, no ego. All you had was love, peacefulness and blissfulness, because that is the true nature of soul. Since your majority of concentration was constantly in the soul, that you experienced those blissfulness and peacefulness constantly. So though the world was heaven, filled with everything that is necessary to keep you happy constantly, nonetheless you never fall for it. You were not attracted by anything because you were so content within yourself. So that's the indication that your soul is filled with power. But now, after taking birth in hell for the next 2500 years, you become body conscious, which means you have forgotten that you were soul that operates this body. So then you no longer experience the blissfulness that comes from within. So you seek out pleasure from outside using your senses. So you become addicted to sensual pleasures, thereby become addicted to the five vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment and ego. So once you get addicted to these five vices, your soul starts losing its power at a very fast rate. So when a soul loses its power, it can no longer take correct decision. So it will be attracted towards sensual pleasures more and more, thereby losing its power more and more, and also start committing more and more sinful acts. So to rescue us from this world of sorrow, God gives this knowledge that you need to be soul conscious again, but still you don't have power to get rid of those five vices. So that is why God asks us to remember God, who is filled with power all the time. That is why he is called Almighty Authority. He is filled with might, that is power all the time. So you need to connect your mind with God, who shines like a tiny point of light in the golden red colored light world, which is called Parandam or Paralog or soul world. So God is also a soul just like us. The only difference between God and us is we enter this birth and death cycle by taking birth in a mother's womb. God stays away from taking birth like us. But still he needs to come in the end, because only he has the knowledge to rescue us and put us back to the happy filled world, heaven. So he needs a body. So he enters an old man's body and he names him Brahma and starts giving the knowledge called Murli through his mouth, which is available absolutely free of cost in all Brahma Kumaris Rajyog meditation centers. So now God Shiva, so he is called Allah by Muslims and Heavenly God Father by Christians. God is one. So he asks us to stay away from all Kali Yuga, that is this world's attractions, from the worldly attractions, and you need to be soul conscious, which means you need to consider yourselves to be the soul and also consider others to be the soul. It is the soul that sees through the eyes, speaks through the mouth, listens through the ear. So you need to be constantly aware of this while interacting with others. So what happens gradually as a result of this practice is you will be able to see the soul separately from the body. It will be more like you are seeing just a dead body with a soul in it. So you don't pay much attention to the body anymore. So obviously you will not be having lustful attraction, because since your focus is only on this soul and not on this body, it is quite natural that you will no longer be attracted by bodily attractions. So that saves you from the number one sin, lust. And when your focus is on the soul, you know the true nature of soul itself is peace. So while you consider yourself to be the soul, you will be experiencing peace yourself, and while looking at others as soul, you will be generating peace to that soul as well. Thereby, the one who interacts with you will also experience the peace. So for that, you need to be constantly conscious of the fact that you are a soul and your father is the Supreme Soul Shiva, who is also a point of light. So you need to remember God as a point of light as much as possible. Only then you will be able to remain soul conscious all the time. And that is not enough, because God is giving Murli, the knowledge, through Brahma's mouth. So it is available in Brahma Kumari's Rajyoga meditation centers, and also you can see in online. So there are many websites and YouTube that provides Murli in all languages. We'll be giving the link of some of them in the description below, so please make use of it. So it is by listening to the Murli, which is the direct word from God himself, that one gets to know about God. So once you get to know God daily, you will start experiencing blissfulness. So you would feel as if your mind is dancing in blissful state. So that is why during Navratri people spend those 9 nights singing and dancing in joy. Since you no longer get attracted to whatever you see through these eyes, but instead you will have the third eye, which is the eye of knowledge, open and see others only as souls. Soul is not visible to these eyes, right? It is only with your mind and knowledge that you consider others and yourselves as souls. So you make sure that your third eye remains open all the time. It doesn't happen just like that. It takes time and practice. So that is the reason people stay awake for those 9 nights. And the fasting they carry out for the Navratri nights represents the fasting that we have towards the worldly attractions. We no longer see, hear, think about, speak about anything that belongs to this world. So we have that fast. It is only after receiving the knowledge from God Shiva that we possess all these things, because we have been remembering God as much as possible, just like a wife thinks about her husband all the time. So it is we souls that are true Parvatis. So we think God as if he is our husband, our parents, he is the only relationship we have. So we establish all relationships with one God and with none other. That is how we are filled with the power, so that we can detach ourselves from all the relationships of this world. So you no longer feel lustful towards anybody, you no longer have anger towards anybody for any reason, because it is as if you are dead to this world, because you no longer consider yourself to be this body at all. You consider yourself to be this soul. Not only that, you consider yourself dead to this world, which means you do not have any body on your own. So you consider this body to be given by God. just to do this practice. So what is the practice we do? We make sure the light of the soul is constantly lit, which means we consider ourselves to be the soul constantly. This is represented in that ceremony where people actually have a lamp lit in a pot for 9 days. So as I mentioned earlier, it takes time and effort. So as you make progress in this spiritual journey, you will reach a point you will no longer have even a trace of body consciousness. So that's when you will feel you no longer have a tiny trace of lust or anger or greed or attachment or ego in you. That is when this world gets destroyed due to the world war and natural calamities, and guess what? This world gets renewed into heaven. So that's why the destruction happens in the end. Since you no longer consider yourself to be the soul, you are not worried about anything, including leaving this body, which is called death. So everybody else who pay no attention to this knowledge, who didn't take this knowledge seriously, they will obviously be suffering in the end because they were so scared of death. We, on the other hand, consider ourselves dead all the time, which means we do not have any body. We are eagerly waiting to take birth in heaven, to get a new body of a deity, possibly the one with the highest status, who is Lakshmi or Narayan. So now in Kali Yuga, at the end, we are at the last stage, the most inferior stage, where we were filled with lust, anger, greed, attachment and ego. So this is collectively called Mahishasura, Ravan, or whatever demon king you name. So that is within us. So you need to kill it using the knowledge of God by daily learning Murli and churning over the Murli points, and also by remembering God and increasing the soul power. So that's how you ascend to the highest stage in heaven. So when you start receiving this knowledge while you were at the lowest stage, you become Durga Devi, ready to fight all the vices within. So the progress, the war between you and Maya or Ravan or Mahishasur, it happens throughout this life. As time passes, you will reach a state where you are no longer disturbed by lust, anger, greed, attachment or ego. So if there is no vice, you will be in an absolutely peaceful state. So that particular state is called Saraswati, where you see Saraswati Devi dressed in white with violin in her hand, with a deep calm state. So that's why we are dressed in white colored dress, which means we used to wear white dress to the dead ones, right? So it is dead. Just like that, we are dead to this world, which means we no longer react to anything that happens in the world, because at a mental level we are dead to this world, but we are very much alive to the new world that is about to come. So if you constantly think about the new world, heaven, obviously you will be experiencing the blissful state that we actually experience in heaven now itself. So that is the Saraswati state. And in that complete state, when you leave this body, the soul is ready to take birth as Sri Lakshmi or Sri Narayan in heaven. So that's why, so all these things, Parvati or Durga Devi, Saraswati and Lakshmi, so it just represents the stage, different stages of your soul. So the one who was Durga Devi in the world becomes Saraswati after taking intense practice. Then after leaving this body, the same soul takes a new body, which is Sri Lakshmi. That's why we have celebrations for 3 Devis, but no one who celebrates it knows that we are Saraswati, Lakshmi and Durga Devi. Devotees are busy in these 9 days praising these 3 Devis, while we, after receiving this knowledge, keep ourselves busy throughout this life in becoming Sri Lakshmi. Happy Navratri. Om Shanti. So please spread this message to as many as possible, because believe me, nobody knows this secret. This secret is given directly by God Shiva. So it is our duty, after understanding this, to spread this message, because not everybody watches this video. They don't get the chance to watch this video. Only 1 in billion will have the chance to watch this video. Even among those, only very few can understand and put into practice the knowledge given by God. So you are definitely one among those. So it is only 1 in billion manages to enter heaven. So we are very lucky to be able to enter heaven. We should also make our friends and relatives lucky to enter heaven as well. But still, it depends purely on their luck whether they are able to understand this and take it seriously or not. Om Shanti. Thanks for watching.